Hey, I just got my new license plate for my 2025 Model 3 Performance. Took it about 6 weeks to get here. And if you've been around the channel, you know that I had a 24 Model 3 Performance. You're probably wondering why I got another one. Well, in this video, we're gonna talk about what happened to the other car, and I'm gonna introduce you to the new car. Let's get started. All right, guys, it's a couple days later. As you know, life gets busy. I haven't made a video in forever because I'm so busy, but I got some time off. So I want to try to get this video done so you guys can see what happened to the car and then go over all the aspects of what happened and everything. So we're gonna look at the Google Earth real quick and I'll show you where the accident happened, how it happened, what it's all about, show you some photos. And then we're gonna talk about the repair costs, at least what it would have cost to repair the car, why they totaled it, et cetera, et cetera. And it's kind of some surprising damages that there were and some things that Tesla, I guess, requires. Initially, they said they were gonna repair the car, but then when it got to a Tesla specific shop, they determined it wasn't gonna be repaired. It was over $26,000 in damage just from a simple accident. All right, guys, so let's take a look at the computer here, and I'm gonna try to do my best to illustrate what's going on. I don't have a great program that does that, but hopefully you can see the arrow here. So essentially, this is a Texas Roadhouse, this building here, and this right here in the background is my hotel. Finished my day, was on the way back home. I was actually headed westbound in this direction. And you can see the turn lane starts about right here. And traffic was backed up probably to about here is my guess. So imagine cars all the way on this side. And then you can see there's a center turn lane here where this little truck is. And so there was a truck parked here that was trying to turn into Texas Roadhouse. So unbeknownst to me, people here had stopped in these two lanes to let this person go across. Traffic was backed up. I got into the turn lane because I had to turn at the light, which is right here. And basically, as soon as I got into the turn lane, this dude gunned it across the road. We met right here. And that's when all the carnage happened. You know, the situation when people allow other folks to cut across like that, super dangerous. I try not to do it, even though sometimes I feel like a jerk because I don't let people across, but it's just really dangerous. If you're the person turning left, generally speaking, you will kind of inch your way across the road versus just hauling butt right across. According to the officers, they said when he made contact with my vehicle, it was about 18 miles an hour. I'm assuming I was going probably around 20. I really don't know. The speed limit's 45, but I was way slowed down because of the traffic, the traffic light being red and the traffic being backed up. So it's a guess. I'm guessing 15 to 20. I don't really know. Could be 25. I have no idea. Anyhow, we met there. I'm not going to try to shame this guy. He made a mistake, hit me. There was another car that was actually parked coming out of Texas Roadhouse that had broken down. So once he hit me, he bounced into that other car, pushed their car up onto the curb. That guy had to go to the hospital. So this turned into a whole big crazy affair. I was there like 3.5 hours where they were testing everybody for alcohol and doing all this other crap because they didn't know if this gentleman that went to the hospital was going to be hurt. Turns out, my understanding is he was fine, according to the officers down the road. My also understanding is the gentleman who hit me got a ticket. At this point, my insurance company has covered the totaling of my vehicle and I had to pay my deductible. I expect to get that back here shortly. But that's kind of what the accident was all about and how it happened. Now, I didn't really get hurt and no one else appeared to be hurt other than obviously the gentleman who had to go to the hospital. He was standing outside of his vehicle, is my understanding, and got hit by the momentum of his car. And I just know he had rib pain on scene, that's all I know. But as far as myself, because I got hit kind of front and side, as you'll see from the photo shortly, I kind of did a twisting motion like this. I think the big bruise that I had, and I'll show you a photo in a second, of my side was from the door shape. And then I do remember hitting my head on the airbag and thinking to myself, why this is all happening in slow motion. Oh, I just hit my head on the airbag. And really my first thought when I got hit was, why is there a car here? What is going on? I was very confused because I moved into a clear turn lane and it was really a weird experience. As most of you know, I'm retired fire department paramedic, so I've been to hundreds and hundreds of car accidents with airbag deployment. Never been involved with one personally as far as having airbags and spinning around and all that kind of stuff. One of the really cool things that I found was before I even stopped turning, it felt like I heard my car ringing like it's calling somebody. I'm like, what's going on? So once I was stopped, I reached for my phone and it's 911. The lady's like, were you in an accident? I said, yes. Are you blocking traffic? I'm like, I have no idea because I can't get out of my car. The airbag was in the way at the time. And then the sodium azide, all the powder, if you're not familiar, was kind of floating around. So I was a little dazed for sure. So that was kind of interesting. Thankfully, again, no one was hurt. And this accident took place way back in the beginning of March. So it took probably 5 or 6 weeks for everything to get worked out. And then another couple weeks for me to get the new car. So anyway, let's take a look at some of the photos of the vehicle so you guys can get an idea of what the accident actually looked like. All right, guys, so let's take a quick look at some photos. So you can see this one here is the rib shot that I got. I don't know why I got this abrasion. I'm not sure if that was maybe the seatbelt, but you can kind of see it has that angular look to it. It kind of matches up with the door. And again, thankfully my head was not injured, which is a beautiful thing. And then as far as on scene, we got pushed into that little parking lot. And again, without going into great detail about the accident, this vehicle on the far right is the one where the gentleman was outside the vehicle. He got pushed. So after the big truck hit me, I don't know if he just glanced into that other vehicle or if the guy swerved after hitting me or what happened. But this is the gentleman on the far right that had to go to the hospital. Everybody in the truck was fine. I was mostly fine. And then I actually didn't take many photos on scene because I didn't want to get near who I felt had caused the accident and cause any problems or whatever. I'm sure he seemed like he was kind of trying to blame me for it, but regardless, here's kind of a quick shot. You can see, I don't know if this was like the window fluid or that was coming out here, but it definitely hit the front of the car and then the side. My door was actually fine. The door wasn't hit at all. One of the tires and wheels was damaged. And so just looking at this, and you can see in the interior, the airbags are all deployed. Every airbag went off except for the front passenger because there was no one in the seat. And then let's go to some other, well, actually we'll just go, this is once the car got to the Tesla place that was working on it. You can see they have the front bumper off and all the damage. So obviously the headlight, the entire front mechanism here. One of the things that surprised me the most as to what was damaged is I believe it was the drive shaft is what they said. We'll go into detail here in just a second when we look at the details, but to give you some other images here. One of the other weird things I found was they said they were going to replace the glass, which as you can imagine is expensive on these cars, but to my knowledge the glass wasn't damaged, so I'm wondering if that's something that Tesla requires with repair. And this is something I didn't notice, so I don't know if this little area here would have affected the door and also this A-pillar, if that added a significant amount of cost once they got in there and started looking around. Kind of another view of the hood and side area, and then there's just a picture, crumpled up airbag on the steering wheel there, and they have cut all the other airbags away at this point. From the other side, nothing really exciting going on over here other than just the hood. One of the things I was wondering is, initially I didn't think the tire and wheel on that driver's side was damaged at all. I'm kind of wondering if they damaged that when they were dragging the car because it was in shut-off mode, so there was no way to power the vehicle unless you connected to the 12-volt system. And I don't think the tow truck guy did that. I'm guessing they just drug it onto the tow truck. I wasn't there, so I don't know that for sure, but that gets me to another point, is why don't I have the dash cam footage of this? Well, kind of a funny story, not so funny. Right after the accident happened, the car, if you're not familiar with Tesla, it goes into like accident mode, so all the lights are flickering really fast. As I mentioned, 911 was called from my car immediately. And I don't know how long that lasted because I really wasn't paying attention. I was a little bit dazed, like I said, and talking to the officers and witnesses and such. But after a certain amount of time, the car basically just completely shuts down, so it doesn't catch on fire and doesn't do other crazy things. So the windows are slightly down. And I reached, before I got out of the car, I got my information out of my glove box, so the glove box was open. And when one of the officers showed up, I finally realized, it's like 20, 30 minutes later, I'm like, hey, I have dash cam footage of this. So I went to the app to try to download it, but by this time, the car was completely shut down. The app wouldn't connect. So I told the officer, I'm like, look, I said, the memory stick's in there if we can get to it. So finally we got the door open by using the emergency thing, using something to pry it open. Door popped. I went to get my backpack out, which was right in front of the passenger seat, pulled my backpack, and what does it do? Snap shut the glove box. I'm like, dumb, and excuse my language. And so I had to explain to the officer, I'm like, I just dorked up and shut the glove box again. So anyway, long story short, they got the memory stick the next day from the tow truck, the tow yard. They connected it to a 12 volt, popped the doors, got the stick. So the officer up in Casa Grande still has it. He said I could have it back. I just haven't gotten up there. And this was weeks ago. It's not that far away, but it just hasn't been that much of a priority to get it. I would like to see it though. But the officer's like, yeah, it shows exactly what you said. You got into the turn lane, he cut across, hit you, et cetera, et cetera. So I would like to get that. If I ever do, I'll put that up in video. Not sure that'll happen. And I'm trying to think if there was any other photos that I didn't show you. I think you saw everything else that I have. The car is significantly damaged, but honestly, I was a little nervous they weren't going to total it because initially they were saying they weren't going to. My thought process was, since all the airbags had deployed, if I try to sell this car down the road, let's say they repair it, first thing people are going to see airbags deployed. And how do you explain, oh, well, it wasn't that bad of an accident. So I'm glad that they did total it. Let's get into some of the repair costs that they put out, the Tesla shop did. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the amount of money I got back and how I feel about how the insurance company handled everything. So here I have my full workup for the Tesla. Basically everything that they needed to replace. Again, this was a Tesla specific shop. There's 2 of them in Tucson. I chose Fix Auto, which was closer to my home, and they were great. Very good communication wise, and were great getting this done really quick for me. So I highly recommend, if you need a Tesla shop in Tucson, Fix Auto. They didn't pay me to say that. They were actually very easy to work with. So first page, just kind of giving all the personal details and what the car has on it. And I'm not gonna go over this entire list. I lied earlier, I said it was 26 grand. It looks like the total was 25,687, so pretty darn close. But that includes 1,300 in sales tax, and also looks like, I don't know, 35 hours of labor would have had to go into all this. But I just wanted to highlight some of the expensive parts that they were going to have to replace. That some of them are obvious, other ones I was a little bit surprised by. So the bumper cover for the Performance is $820, the lower cover $400, and then the headlight assembly $1,500, which is frightening if those ever go bad. The radiator support $530, and the radiator and the fan and motor were also expensive, $450 and $300 respectively. Crazy. The hood, all aluminum, $1,080. Sorry about the paper shuffling here. And then one tire was $200, the wheel $750. And then the front suspension member, it looks like, $1,162. So very expensive. And this was the really surprising, the steering column assembly, $1,775, which crazy when you consider the hit wasn't that hard. And then the windshield, $900. Again, it didn't look damaged to me, but I don't know if that's something Tesla requires if you get in an accident to make the car whole again. And then just a couple of other interesting things. Airbag diagnostic unit, or I should say the restraint system diagnostic unit, it says $583, and then the left and right hand curtain airbags, $340 a piece. So not cheap. So you can see how it all adds up really, really quick. Again, very thankful that they went ahead and totaled the vehicle. So let's talk a little bit about, these numbers are not going to be precise because I didn't write them down right now, but it's just kind of ballpark stuff. So when I bought the car, I put 20 grand down. I ended up getting a check for $20,500, and they valued the Tesla before tax and everything at right around 46 something, 46.5, 46,600. So in 8 months, you had that depreciation. The car, you know, brand new cost is $54,995 or whatever, obviously before tax, title, and license. One of the things that really shocked me was that when I'd never had a car totaled before, so they actually gave me almost 4 grand in taxes, which I was really surprised by. So that was great. So that covered my down payment and a little bit more. So essentially what I'm out for 8 months is 8 months of car payments. And I want to say that was like $3,500 over 8 months. So paid a lot of money to drive that car and have nothing to show for it, other than getting a little bit more than I put down. And I did get a little over $300 refund for my tags. And if you're not familiar with Arizona license plate, yearly is like, for a brand new car, super expensive. I think it was like $1,100 for that thing, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I did get a slight credit for the 4 months that I had left on there. So all in all, not horrible as far as, you know, having the car totaled after 8 months. I was a little nervous that I wasn't going to get my down payment back, especially when I first heard it was only 46 grand. And that was before I read all the paperwork and realized I was also getting the taxes back, which was a godsend. Thankfully, they did that. And at this point, I'm still waiting for my deductible to come back. So it'll actually be about $21,500. So all in all, really not that bad to drive a car for 8 months, you know, in the $2,000 range. I did put some mods on there. I got most of the stuff back from the car. Obviously, windshield or tint I didn't get back out. I just had the new car done. So anyway, if you guys have any questions about, if you're going through this yourself, if you have any questions about this and I can help at all, I'll be happy to do so. Number one thing is be patient. My insurance is American Family, and they actually did a pretty decent job. I will say the only thing I really didn't like about the process is you pretty much don't deal with your specific advisor, who I've known for, I think we've been using him for 30 years, great guy. And from the person I spoke to when the accident happened to when I finally got paid out, there must have been 5 or 6, maybe 7 separate people who either emailed me, texted me with information. And that was a little bit frustrating because there were so many people involved. For the most part, they were cool. And again, Fixed Auto was great. So all in all, I think it all ended up well for me, and I'm glad nobody was hurt. And hopefully I'll be getting my deductible back shortly. So let's just head outside real quick. I'll show you the car. Essentially the same thing, just a different color. So let's go outside and check that out. All right, it's a little windy out today, so I apologize, but here is the new Tesla. So again, it's a 2025 model now, and I have just about 1,000 miles on it. Same exact vehicle as I got before, white interior, just a different color, which is kind of nice. They were offering free, I think it was the gray, white, and blue at the time when I needed to replace my other car. Another nice thing was my interest rate before was 1.99%. With this car, it's actually 0%. So when the free color and the interest rate popped up, I went for it. I was gonna wait a while and just see what happened, see if the price came down at all. But with the tax credit possibly going away, with the free interior color, the exterior color, and then the 0% interest rate, I figured it's not gonna get any better. So the only thing I've done to this car so far is, as you can probably tell, I tinted it. I also got the front windshield tinted this time, which I've never done before. And the only negative to it, I would say, is I have polarized sunglasses, and you can kind of see a little bit of colors in the windscreen when you're looking out during the day. But otherwise, it really does help with the heat. I was a little skeptical, but it gets blistering hot here in Tucson, so I think it's going to be nice to have that. But I really like this color. It's a really nice blue, and I think it looks good with the red calipers, etc. Just like the other car, not a huge fan of these wheels. I don't hate them, but they're not my favorite. I've considered taking the aero covers off, but don't really want to affect mileage, which I know it's not that much, but we'll see if I decide to do that. Otherwise, I don't have any real plans to mod anything on here. It's pretty darn awesome just like it is. I still don't think there's a vehicle for the money that gives you what this thing does. I mean, it's absolutely outstanding. So interior is basically exactly the same. White interior. I do have a screensaver on here, but otherwise everything's cool. Same white seats. And I just have this from Vion. It's a full that goes in the back too, but now that I got the tent back there, it's pretty dark. So I just have the front one on. But all in all, good stuff. I appreciate you guys watching. It's been a long time since I've done a video. If you have any questions about the accident or anything that I went through to get this car or get the accident car figured out and then getting the new car, hit me up with a message or to my emails. You'll have that below. So you guys take care. Hope everyone's doing well. Enjoy the summer. Talk to you soon.